broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, AfterBuzzers. Welcome back to the AfterBuzz TV Narcos After Show. My name is Isaac Johnson. You can follow me on Twitter at Isaac Johnson, Instagram, The Isaac Johnson. We're here breaking down Season 1, Episode 7, You Will Cry Tears of Blood. I'm here along with my friendly associate, Ashley Chatman.
Yes, I'm not crying tears of blood, but
I
was pretty close. Hey guys, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Ashley_Chatman. Tweet at me. I'd love to hear your comments on this episode. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you head over to youtube.com, AfterBuzz TV. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment. Yeah, click that like. Thumbs up.
That like.
Ashley, how'd you feel? This was... go ahead. I'm a little disturbed about possibly seeing a baby being shot in the face.
I know. I needed a diaper for myself for that scene.
Right.
I mean, yeah, this was an interesting episode. I still think that number 6 is my favorite thus far, just as far as the plot line. And yeah, it was a huge explosion.
I still think it's the most efficient episode, but yeah.
Absolutely. But I like that, this one, there was a little bit of jumping around, which of course, I felt like, okay, well, no, we're settled into the story now, so we can get a little bit more settled. But there was a little bit of jumping around, which I had to, settle with. But other than that, I thought it was really, really good. I like that we're seeing, a more progressive storyline. Sure. And, I mean, just every single episode now, it's just, he goes down,
Pablo does, for sure.
And it's just, it's so interesting to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I mean, that baby almost being shot. Yeah. Please, oh, please don't shoot a baby.
And I think that was like the first time we really see any show of mercy in this show. Everything else has
by
been
one of the
intense.
henchmen. Like, that was really cool, like, to see that somebody has some line of morality. It's pretty far down the line, but... And
even then, it wasn't because the henchmen said, no, we're not going to do it. It was just because they happened to be interrupted.
They got interrupted by Javier and Steve there.
Thank God for them. They're good for something.
Thank God for them. I like, we'll talk about later that foot chasing with Javier and Steve. I really like that. I thought that was cool to see them spring into action. So let's jump on in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gaviria.
Presidente
Gaviria. Yeah, he became the president. He lived to see the day because he took the advice of our DEA. Don't get on that plane, man.
Don't get on it.
Finally taking their advice. However, even though the plane blew up, people are devastated by this cause, they still don't want to really listen to the Americans, the CIA, the DEA here. Why not? What else has to happen for you to want to listen to them?
Yeah, which I thought that was kind of hilarious. He was like even though you were like kind of right on the plane, right? Like even though I could have almost died, even though, It was
just one plane bombing, but we got it.
Like, okay, we get it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they did make a mention just that they don't really trust the Americans. And I mean, like, think about it from our standpoint. Like if let's say we had a lot of Japanese intervention or, Colombian intervention.
Like, would we listen to their advice?
If we had another government, like if Americans knew that there was another government that was really interceding on just our American government, people would flip out. So I have to kind of think of it in the reverse. How would it look if there was somebody else, another territory kind of in, even though they're there to help, but of course, just the way that it sounds and the way that it looks, maybe to them, it seems shady.
Yeah. Well, I would get that, I mean, especially America, because we're number one, all that kind of stuff. Like, we wouldn't listen to, like, another government or something like that. But he's got, like, a little suspicion there. The former president, Iturbi, is like, don't trust the Americans.
I love that impression.
Yeah, by the way, Dr. President Iturbi.
Oh, right.
Like, what a little title there. He was a president and a doctor. That's really nice.
That's how they do it. Do it big.
Yeah, but I get that. Okay, so, it's mostly pride, I guess, but they gave you they saved your life.
Yeah.
could you listen to them a little bit? I mean, they start to kind of work with them a little bit more, especially when they're pushed to the, like the point there by Pablo. But I'm like, dude, the plane blew up. Like,
I know.
It's at this point, Pablo is just an all-out terrorist. Yeah. He's killed an entire plane full of people just to get at you, and you still don't want to listen to us?
Yeah, I'm sure it's a bit of pride because he just started his presidency like 5 seconds ago.
Right.
It's like, I can't even lead these people in the way that I promised to lead them because you guys are just in my ear. And I think he feels like, I want to go after these guys. I want to get these guys as much as you do, but I want to do it in my own way. And I kind of want it to be a victory for Colombia by the Colombians versus it being a victory for Colombia by all the Americans had to come.
Right, they don't want to be saved. Or
exactly.
Like that,
So I think it's a bit of both, just how it looks, and then also a bit of the pride thing going on.
Sure. Yeah, I totally get that. So Fernando there, kind of working both sides, it seems, but it more seems like he's stuck in this position with the Medellín cartel there.
You know what? I actually was a little confused by that because, eventually Gaviria says, okay, we will say that we are in negotiations if that's what it takes for them to stop the bombings, and then basically buy us time so that we can find out where he is and kill him. And he seemed, he seemed to be very all right with that. And I thought that he was going to give that information to Pablo, but he didn't. So I'm kind of wondering, even though I know he is working for Pablo, obviously, what's his real motive now? Like, is his real motive to like try and stay on good terms with Pablo just long enough so somebody can take him down so that he doesn't have to deal with him anymore? Because it's a very dangerous situation to be with Pablo at this point. Yeah. So, or what do you think about that? Do you think that he doesn't care and he's just playing both sides for the money, or do you think he wants to get out now?
Yeah, I mean, I think initially he probably did it for the money, something like that. He seems to be pretty deep into bed with them at this point.
Yeah.
And I don't think he has a way out. There's a line, I can't remember what it was, but there's something to the effect that like I'm a dead man or something. I can't remember what he said, but it was something like that. So it seems more like maybe some of his wanting to help them is a little bit genuine, but at the same time, he helped the president basically. But at the same time, he just seems like he's stuck. When he's having like those talks with Pablo there, he looks like he's kind of sweating pretty hard, fearing for his life. And at this point, why wouldn't he kill Fernando? Because he's like, basically, you're going to go get it done. Like, you have no other alternative here. It just seems like he's kind of stuck. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't really fully trust him.
Yeah, I don't either. But I do feel like Fernando feels like, okay, SH has really hit the fan now. Yeah. And on top of that, Pablo is on an even shorter fuse than ever. Yeah. Like he's just willing, kill this person. We'll, bomb this person. We'll blow this person up. Like he's just on a rampage at this point. So anyone is expendable to him. So
sure.
I wondered that, like, he really seemed like, come on, let's do, pleading with him, let's do something.
But I like Gaviria's like resolve to not want to negotiate them, at least
in the beginning.
Through the episode.
Right, we'll get to that.
He was pushed to a point, but I did kind of wonder, like, is he really going to negotiate with them? They're obviously now I will help you. I would take your help.
Of course.
CIA, because they keep killing people off. Now they're taking all the kids of like basically rich people and that sort of thing. They have the president's daughter too. We'll get into that later, but now he's going to take their advice. So I'm like, is he really going to negotiate with them? Or is he going to make it look like he's negotiating with them? Kind of hard to tell exactly what it is, but at least I like the them trying to get the upper hand on them, because it seems like they can never step ahead of Pablo there, because he crazy.
He cray. Kind of real cray.
Kind of hard to get ahead of a crazy person. Like, what's his next move? None of it makes any sense because he's a psychopath. I also like the DEA figuring out that, like, people who drive these expensive cars
have to be part of the cartel.
Yeah, because nobody else can afford like a $50,000 car.
Right. Which I'm like, you're right.
Yeah,
I'm pushing my hoopty, so there you go.
I can't afford one either. But I like that. It kind of like it's another sort of better move for them. Also, a little bit of the DEA and CIA kind of like working together begrudgingly.
And I don't know if you thought this at all, but I thought, okay, there has to be somebody dirty and working on the inside of the CIA and DEA. Because how did the cartel find that out? Wasn't that information that was kept exclusively within the CIA and the CIA and the DEA?
I don't remember, but...
Because remember they said that they eventually figured out what the DEA and the CIA were doing, so they switched to lower end cars.
It would be great to, where they did eventually.
So I was
they
like,
getting,
how the heck? Like, I mean, maybe, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm like, how the heck is he finding out all of his information? Like, throughout this episode, too, he was still steps. I mean, as crazy as he is, he's still steps ahead of everybody. And it's blowing my mind.
Right. Well, I mean, that would be a great twist if that happened. It would be a great twist if there was somebody on the inside, and I would love to see it. But I don't know. Maybe it's just because they're pulling over all these cars. Eventually, they're like, okay, like they keep getting us in our fancy cars. We got to just drive cheaper cars or whatever. But also Carrillo, there, with the what are they? The search something. All the cops that are shaking everybody down.
The Incorruptibles?
Well, the Incorruptibles, but...
the Search Block?
Search Block. Yeah, that it is. One, also going full force on them.
Yeah, that's true. And killing them, too. Like, not even just arresting them, but, like, straight taking them out, which is insane.
Yeah, which is, another little moral line for Korea. They're going a little further.
I mean... Back to that phone call that they had, man.
Yeah, no, he did give them a very strict warning.
Drop the mic, man.
Yeah.
Mic's been dropped.
Mic drop moment. Love to see it. Let's talk about Pablo. So Pablo, fleeing the country.
Again.
After he's blown up this plane and is now on terrorist level, with the country, just bombing everybody.
Yeah.
He doesn't trust anybody. I almost thought when he and Gustavo were having that talk there at the end, when he's like, oh, look at this thing out here. We're going to make a castle, another
that he was going to,
delusion of grandeur. I thought he was going to kill Gustavo. Did you think that too?
I did a little bit, only because of the whole situation with the Ochoa sister and how that whole thing came out. But yeah, I mean, he is definitely a lot more... you can't really trace what he's going to do next. Like, he's very unpredictable now. And just every little thing. I mean, and it's interesting because, after obviously the whole plane thing was a failure, I figured it'd be more attention on still just trying to go after him, even though he's the president. But I mean, after what he's doing right now, like, he has the gusto and the balls to go after and kill the president. So I don't know. It just seemed like a really weird move for him to just start killing, not that they're random people, but he's killing a lot of people that are, it's kind of moving away from the president, which is the real, person, the real enemy there. So,
well, in a lot of ways, it is random.
Yeah.
He's basically just trying to force Gaviria's
just trying to scare people. Yeah, exactly.
And he feels like, look, eventually they're going to bend to our will. Man, what you're saying at the top of the show, this is his, like, I don't know if he can get any lower at this point. This is his downward spiral, Pablo.
Yeah.
He's far off the reservation at this point. Like, none of it makes any sense. He doesn't trust anyone. He questions everyone's loyalty, and seemingly also Gustavo. Gustavo is like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What is this about? Like, I don't think we're going to get their attention this way. Also, I think at some point, like, Gustavo seems to be having a conscience about all of these just sort of random murders, the Cali Cartel, which is the first I heard of them. Have you heard about them before?
I think Cali, they didn't mention the Cali Cartel.
Because they're in New York, right?
Yeah, they're mostly in New York, but they did mention some dealings in Cali a couple episodes ago, because I think that was where Gaviria was traveling.
Sure,
for one campaign. Right. But yeah, this is the first time that we are introduced to them, which I'm glad that they mentioned that, because, with this being a multi-season show, obviously we know that Pablo's story is going to come to an end. So it's nice to kind of have them introduce other cartel members, or other people who are a part of the drug trade, who were very influential at that time, because it kind of maybe introduces new potential storylines or plot lines.
I think it's cool also to have the sort of parallel between these guys are like sophisticated, suave,
as sophisticated as you can be for a drug lord. I know, right?
Cocaine, but but these guys operate in a completely different manner. Whereas Pablo is just straight up crazy at this point.
But they're super arrogant, and they need to stay in their place, right?
Yeah, well, it's almost like they're not necessarily under Pablo, but at the same time they got to respect him because of all the power that he has
and money.
But dude is arrogant. And I like seeing somebody who was like, just kind of like,
he is, but I thought it was hilarious. I mean, yet again, even in all of this, like, Pablo is just still like, how dare you, like he has his very own arrogant, attitude and way of himself, and like everything that he does, Pablo does is arrogant. And so I just thought it was hilarious that he'd be so offended by somebody who's equally as
he's
arrogant.
almost offended by everybody in this episode.
Yeah,
He basically gives everyone a warning. Like, if you don't say what, like, basically if you're not with me, you're against me, you know. To quote Star Wars, I'm like Sith doing absolutes, if anyone knows that reference and wants to know how nerdy I am. But I like I just like that they have possibly someone else. I mean, I know there's something brewing with the Ochoas there, but Pacho is the name of it. He also kind of flings that little like Marina, Ochoa, Gustavo. Maybe you'll just ask her, or, you know, and it's like, oh, you guys didn't know about that? Oh, yeah.
Which I'm wondering how he knew about that. That was a very random thing for him to know.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, like, he sort of said, like, oh, it's gossip. I figure everybody knew or something like that.
But of course, he's definitely has his eyes. I think he's very similar to Pablo in he's an opportunist, and I think he sees exactly where this is going. He knows Pablo was in a very, very tough situation with this war on not only with Colombia but with the American government, and he kind of sees that like, okay, he's declining, basically. He can see him cracking.
Yeah, everybody knows he's cracking.
Everybody knows it. And so now I think that he's just trying to push his buttons even more and just kind of, you know, keep poking at that hole and tearing apart his entire cartel so that eventually he can take over. So it'll be interesting to see how that transpires.
Yeah, because by giving the Ochoas that information they didn't know, they're not going to be happy about it.
Yeah, and we know that that's going to be an all and out.
It's kind of making them sort of allies with him to, you know, maybe gain some power, overthrow Pablo, something like that.
Or maybe not even allies, but just at the very least, it's going to cause a lot of tension. You know, like if they kill Gustavo, for example, or if something goes down with him and Gustavo, now Pablo is involved, you know.
Yeah.
So it just messes everything up, which I'm like, interesting play.
Yeah, just kind of stirring the pot a little bit there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, I was like, well, he would never kill Gustavo, but...
Well, I mean, like with the Ochoa brothers.
Well, them. But even them, it's pretty ballsy if they were going to try to kill Gustavo, because I mean, like, could he get any crazier? I think that would do it. Loyalty is very important to him. Gustavo, his family, you know, like that would. I mean, if you're going to kill Gustavo, you might as well kill Pablo. You know what I mean? Because like that's what you would have to do just to stay alive. So, by the way, so he's having that conversation with his son there at the beginning. You know, tells him he loves him. Oh, that's sweet. Daddy loves you. He's just gonna kill a bunch of strangers on a plane.
But also too denying it to his last breath. Like whatever they say about me, I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. Do you think he actually thinks that way? Do he thinks that none of this is wrong? It's just him trying to get ahead or something like that?
You know what? I honestly can't say. I think at the time when he was running for Congress and he had his whole aspirations to become president. I think he knew and just was being delusional and, you know, had delusions of grandeur and was just trying to, you know, not admit that to himself, and not have that realization for himself. But now I don't know. I think maybe he's just at a point where he has really just lost it, and he feels he's very extremely paranoid, and he feels like everybody is out to get him. Why is everybody after me? Like everybody just wants to get me. Everybody just wants to get you down. You know what I mean?
People.
Right?
That's
because
why.
You are the head of one of the most powerful, you know, narcotic
like it's not enough that you're like the fifth richest dude in the world. That you're king of the mountain out there. You also have to just, you know, kill. What end to the amount of power or position or whatever you want is there? You know. I would say the same thing as far as like thinking if he knows what he's doing is wrong. I mean, he has to know to some degree because he's not going to tell his son what's going on.
Of course, but yeah, I mean, I think even if he did know, I don't think he would admit it to his child's son.
I think he'd have to admit it to himself first, and I don't know that he does. It's kind of hard to tell. It's like, well, he has to know to some degree, but it's more just like people were disrespecting me. I'm going to kill him, that kind of thing. Seeing him hold his baby girl there, you know, him kind of clutching her for like an extra moment there, was just like, does he realize he's losing that, or is he just kind of like that's almost like representing him holding on to something that probably doesn't really exist for him anymore.
And that's interesting that you bring that up, because I think also with him if he were to admit that he's doing all these horrible things and that this is who he really is and that he's a bad person, then you kind of have to take responsibility for what you've done, you know?
Right.
And it means him
Right.
losing those moments of holding his baby girl, losing those moments of being with his family, his wife, his son, his mother.
And that's one of the more important things to him.
Exactly. Having all of those moments, you know, that all goes away as soon as you admit
True.
it and confess and, you know, serve penance for what you've done. So I don't think that he is I don't think he wants to do that. He wants to have a clean slate and he wants to just get away and just live his life and do what he wants to do, and he just wants to be left alone. But dude, it's too late for that. You're one too many bomb planes away from that line.
Sending people to shoot someone's baby, for example. There's no redemption from this kind of thing. I don't think, personally. Because even, you know, so he sends, you know, Poison to go do that. You know,
Poison.
Yeah.
Shout out to
not the.
Well, they could. I mean, they haven't worked in a while, so they could probably use a.
Well, they probably could.
They could.
Plus,
but yes,
that's a great song.
Yes, it is.
But
I just want to always play that theme song every time Poison goes out to kill people. I just feel like it's
maybe
very
next
appropriate.
episode, right?
Next one.
There you go. I mean, who knows what will happen to Poison now? Because he almost bit the bullet here in this episode too. But man, okay, so it's not enough that he came into Jaime's house, the kid on the plane, you know, was all buddied with him. Oh, is this your kid? Is this your wife? All that stuff from last episode, right? Sends him on a suicide mission. He doesn't even know. And now that he's met the family, like, look, I can't have anything tie me to that because now I'm in a lot of hot water. Who knew that was going to happen? But now, you know, go kill that woman and the baby. No hesitation about the baby. 2-year-old baby. Maybe
1.5.
Yeah, 2-year-old, 1.5 baby, not old enough to remember anything.
I'm like, I can barely remember what I did last week. Okay, so a 1.5-year-old.
You were on this panel. We were talking about Narcos.
Really? Were we? I was here too?
You were here, yeah.
Oh, interesting. I gotta watch that show.
You should.
But yeah, like, I'm like, I, as an adult person, don't ask me what I did last week.
Right.
So a baby, a 1 and maybe 20 years from now, I was like, is this guy really serious? Like, this is one person where we can lie and say that we killed this baby, you know, and just walk away. Because it's not like she's going to just come walking out the house like, woo, you know, and go straight to the CIA's door and be like, let me tell you everything I know.
She walks
you know what I mean?
They're like pacifier.
Right. Like crawls to the front door, you know. It was insane. I mean, obviously he gave him the order, and Poison clearly said, look, if I'm giving an order, I'm giving an order. I'm going to do it.
He don't care.
But it was just an interesting thing. Like, this was one situation where you could have shown some sort of leniency. Like, it's a baby. It's a baby.
Even Short Shot there. That's his buddy there. Who like could also have played Pablo. They have a very similar look, by the way. Him and Wagner.
Very similar look.
Yeah, with the guy with the stash there, who's like, I don't know if we should shoot the baby. Yeah, a lot of stashes. But they like, I'm like, yeah, you could have cast the other guys out. But anyway, that was like a random thought that I had. But. So,
he would have had to gain some weight.
Yeah, he would have. Which Wagner Moura did. And there was an interview I read where he was just like, I'm never doing this again. This is too much.
Like, I'm done.
He's like, I don't know if I would do this again.
I don't want any more ribs. I don't want any more meat. I'm done.
Yeah, way to commit to the role. But like, so Poison is just like, nah, man. Like, we got to go in there and do it. We get an order. We get an order. That's it. Good on Short Shot. Really weird name, you know. To at least be the one to be like, you know, him and Poison have that conversation, like, you know, would you kill me if he told me to? And Poison's like, yep. And then he's like, well, would you kill me? And he's like, we gotta go. We gotta go downstairs and do a thing. Because I think even he's starting to, which I'm like, dude, you're kind of questioning the wrong person. Yeah. Poison is like 100% loyal. He doesn't care. There's no moral line for him. I wouldn't be bringing that up to him. I feel like that kind of marks you as like a guy. Like, even he could have been shot out there when they're talking about his castle or whatever.
You know, I thought actually that with the whole, because he didn't want to shoot the wife. I can't remember what her name was. The
Natalie.
wife of Natalie. He didn't want to shoot Natalie. I thought that Poison was definitely going to shoot Natalie and then maybe even shoot him as well. Just you know, after that whole conversation, like, you could definitely tell there's some tension there. I think Short Shot is now starting to have, some apprehensions about
hopefully a baby.
Right.
Come on.
Well, I mean, just the whole thing. Like I think everybody in the organization now knows how crazy things have gotten, and just, I mean, now it's just kind of like all of our lives are on the line too. And then with extradition breathing down our neck, it's like there's no way I'm safe. Like even if I try to leave the cartel, if I go to the Americans or wherever, I'm still gonna get arrested. I'm still gonna probably have my life taken. So I don't know. It's interesting now that I'm seeing a lot more people, kind of like Gustavo, like Short Shot, within the cartel, who at first they all seem ride or die, like they were for this business, but now they're not so sure anymore. So it's interesting to see that flip and that switch now.
Because more of them, including Gustavo, are just into the money. Maybe some of the power too, but I don't think they were just. I mean, you're ruining people's lives with cocaine or whatever, but I don't think they were signing up to be terrorists. Yeah. That's what they are.
Or or Colombian domination.
Yeah, like, I don't think that they were signing up for that, so I think everybody's like, wait a minute, like, well, how far are we going to go with this? But at least Gustavo's like, look, if we're going to do this, like, let's at least be organized about it. Let's get somebody they're going to care about or something like that. Like, let's be a little smarter about this. Let's kidnap all these people. Which we said before the show, but seeing that lady get shot in the head, maybe the most graphic on the show. My heart like jumped when I saw that. That was terrifying. What a great effect, because it looked real. It did. But like, that was brutal.
But you know what? But the sad thing about it is too, I didn't jump quite as much because I feel like I'm starting to build a tolerance for it. Like we've seen so many horrific things. I mean, granted, that one was the most real looking and most graphic. But, I mean, I was expecting the baby to die. I was expecting all of the hostages to be shot and killed, and for Diana to be the only one left. So, and I was surprised, we'll get into it a little bit later, but I was even surprised that he let somebody go. Like, I just was expecting it to be a full-fledged bloodbath in this episode. So I was surprised a little bit at the fact that we kind of did get to see some mercy with the baby, which I'm glad.
Well, yeah, and just because of the circumstance. Like, of course. They were, like, a couple seconds more, baby would have been, which I'm just glad they didn't do it on the show. But,
Shout out there was the baby who lived.
Some of the more graphic stuff was, of course, Javier's informant. The first one that...
Fernando?
No, the lady that got the gang... Like,
Helena?
Yeah, Helena. That, I mean, they at least didn't show that.
Yeah.
They showed that shot to the head, so it's like, okay, well,
which I think kind of speaks to how much more violent he's become, and how much more serious things have really gotten. So I think visually that was just really great for the audience to sort of see how things are spiraling out of control, and just how much more intense things are getting now with the cartels and with what they're willing to do now to sort of get people's attention and to get people to yield to their will.
Yeah, well, it's kind of working.
Yeah, message received. Kind of working. Message, we got it.
Before we hit the iTunes thing too, also like Tata and Pablo's mom. Pablo's mom was like, "Do you think he did it?" And Tata's like, "Yeah." Yeah, he did it. She has zero problem with it. Mom, watch. I don't know why Mom is still like thinking that he's possibly not capable of this, but Tata, yeah. Well, I mean, no, he did do it, absolutely.
For the mom, and she was denied in a state of denial too. He couldn't have done this. Not my boy. Like, Mom, you were just sewing up drug money in your couch a few episodes ago.
You remember that?
Yeah, but maybe your memory is getting a little fuzzy.
Maybe.
But I know. I think that, again, it's the family trying to stay in a state of denial. If they don't accept it, if they don't, if they don't call attention to it, or if they don't, say that it's real, then it's not.
Yeah, one I still like. I mean, I wish we had more of Tata on the show, because I think the actress is good, but also still her I know exactly what's going on.
But and then of course justification. So if we're not going to deny it, then we're going to justify it. But I'm sure he had a good reason.
Right.
I'm sure he was.
Right.
For killing 107 innocent passengers.
Just to get to one guy.
Just for one person that you didn't kill. So the biggest fail.
Who's also
ever.
done nothing to you.
Right. Exactly. But we digress.
Yeah, well, let's take a quick little break to talk about iTunes. Yeah, folks,
we got some reviews this week.
We got a review. We also got some YouTube comments. So I'm going to read them all. Folks, head over to iTunes. Give our Narcos After Show a rating and review. 5 stars if you really like us. 3 stars if you also really like us. We really appreciate it. It really helps out the network. It helps us get sponsors, and it helps keep the lights on up in this brand new studio.
And it helps give you free content.
And it helps give you free content. It's absolutely free. You don't have to pay nothing to watch the show.
Free.com.
You just get to watch it and dissect our dissection.
Yes.
I believe is how it works. So I'm going to shout out TD Yanks23. He says, good podcast. He is a big fan of me.
Yeah.
Also loves Pet Rocks, apparently. So thank you,
Shout out.
TD Yanks, for doing that.
Thank you.
If you write us a review, we'll shout you out on the show as well. We've got a couple iTunes comments. These are pretty cool. Phone work faster. Okay. It says, I love you guys because you're all so laid back. Oh, thanks so much.
Nice.
I've gotten that comment before. She says, I also think I mentioned that before. This is from XGirl10, by the way.
Thank you, XGirl10.
She said, I don't understand how drug lords can hurt people, especially in their community. No morals or conscience. Shake my head. Yeah, I think that answers the question.
Yeah.
No morals or conscience.
Exactly.
That's how they do it.
That's how they do it.
Baron of Hell. This guy is a regular in the AfterBuzz community. I've seen him on several different shows commenting. He says, after Dave's comment last week about building bombs,
Bombs for Good. Shout out to
for
Dave.
Good. Yes,
bombsforgood.com.
Dave Abbott on the Instagram. Follow him. I'm reporting Dave to Homeland Security for his bomb making talk. I'm sorry if he isn't here next week. What?
Ooh, so maybe he's the reason why. Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
Wow.
Because, yeah, Dave did kind of cancel out at the last minute.
Yeah, maybe he's being held hostage.
Maybe he is.
And Night Warrior says, Boyd Holbrook was Jeff and Gone Girl. Dave asked that question last week, which I think was one of the people who robbed Amy.
Yeah.
So thanks so much. Give us a rating, review, or a comment on iTunes.
Comment.
We'll shut you out on the show. We really appreciate it. So let's get into probably my favorite thing that in this episode was Javier and Steve running down Poison, jumping across those rooftops.
Yes,
I thought the shots were great. The cinematicness of just seeing all those rooftops, the colors were really vivid. I thought that was cool. But also seeing Steve be in a situation where I was like, oh man, is Steve gonna die? I mean, I don't think he dies in real life, so I don't think he can.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's point blank there with Poison, with his gun in his face, just with his hands up. I'm like, Steve, gotta have a gun on you, man.
Right.
I guess he just dropped it after he ran across the roof there. I thought that was exciting. What did you think of the way they shot that scene?
I felt the same way, and I'm like, okay, we obviously know that Poison eventually dies, and we know that it's not here, and we know that Steve lives. So we have a lot of information going into it, but I do still like the way that they film a lot of the show. There's still a lot of suspense and there's tension.
I mean, this was almost like the most suspenseful in terms of action. Yeah,
which is great to see for us as an audience because we know so much information. There's still a lot of nail biting moments where we're like, oh, what's gonna happen? So yeah, it was filmed great. I think the actors did a really great job sort of stepping that up too.
Yeah, and
just a very interesting scene. In both. It was the two different.
Yeah, both of them sort of chasing down people.
Holding up moments. So.
Well, one is Steve just kind of throwing himself in harm's way. I mean, he has to duck a couple shots here and there. That was cool. I just like seeing him get involved in the action.
Yeah, a lot more.
Probably my favorite thing. I mean, we've got him, we always have him narrating the episodes. Sometimes I just like to find out more about who he is, and he wants them that bad that he's gonna chase them down in the street, possibly get shot, jumping across rooftops. I thought that was cool and exciting. Looked like he had a little trouble keeping up, but maybe that was a character choice.
All those donuts,
Yeah, he's a pretty fit dude, but
yeah, he's fit for 80s, 90s, slim build.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like he ran track or something like that in high school. I don't know, but then so Javier has the moment where he's got Poison. We think
short.
Oh, short shot.
Yeah,
right. And short shot's the one with the conscience.
Right.
Drop the gun. He drops the gun right away. We got him. Javier, just can taste it. You're going down.
Yeah, I know, right?
This kind of stuff. And then a young boy with a gun pops up behind him, and I'm like, whoa.
Which again, I screamed at my, at my laptop because I'm like, how is it that Pablo is just this so gosh darn ahead of, you know
He's
what I mean?
people,
Like, how did he?
They're in the comuna there, right? That's where they're, where Natalie lives.
And he
controls it,
just says, what? Okay, I'm gonna pay you to just be on the lookout. If you see anybody that looks like a cop that's bringing down anybody, just come up and, I mean, like, he's literally thought of everything, and it just always blows my mind. And I'm like, this poor little kid. I mean, first of all, he didn't look like he could be any older than what, like 8, 9 years old.
Maybe 10.
I don't remember all of what I was doing.
I mean, like, maybe he's super young.
I'm like, I don't remember all of what I was doing at 8 and 9 years old, but best believe it was not me picking up a gun and having enough gusto to go up to a grown-ass man and be like, put the gun down,
But, so, like, Natalie there, when they're questioning her at the beginning of the episode, she won't turn on Pablo. And they're like, you got a picture of him in your house, like, and that picture is of Pablo, like, as, like, a deity with, like, the light, like those pictures of, like, Jesus or something like that. So this community really kind of worship him almost as a god or something like that. So why wouldn't that kid with the gun believe that you're trying to hurt, like, our savior or something, like the savior of our community? He obviously is not. But that kid's bought into it.
Which is just so crazy, because all the stuff that he's done, you would think, like, after a while you would say maybe he's not the savior that we all think he is. I mean, I'm sure they know about Avianca, the plane blowing up.
Right.
I'm sure they know about him killing Justice Lara. I'm sure they know about him going into the Palace of Justice and shutting that whole thing down. So it's kind of like, okay, how many things need to happen before you stop drinking the Kool-Aid,
Them to stop trusting him. But, like, 'cause even the 2 henchmen are like, oh, they point at the picture on the wall and they're like, hey, he's like a deity or whatever they said or something like that. And it's like, well, that's how they see him. So that's why this kid's, like, out there with a gun to a police officer. But the kid didn't pull the trigger.
Of course.
At the very least, he runs away. But that showdown there, I was like, man.
It was intense.
It was intense because I'm like, would Javier do it? I mean, Javier, we've talked about Javier's morality before. The line's pretty far. He's, he shot those other guys after Helena and all that stuff. But I was like, oh, please don't make him do it. I would like to see, as far as these guys are going morally too, I'd like to see them have some restraint. And at least he didn't do it. I mean, let's sure shot get away. Yeah. But, man, okay, a little moment of like,
And I could sense how scared Javier was in that moment
wrestling
too,
with it. You can see the wheels turning there.
And especially once the boy runs away. I mean, I'm sure a part of him is pissed at the fact that the boy made him, lose in that situation. But you could just sort of see, like, how every single, with something like that, I mean, it still just shakes them as to the core. Like, as much as they've done to try and bring these guys down, something like that can completely shut them down.
I mean, he's never done something like this. And this kid is essentially an innocent who's been, like, what's the word? Like almost like brainwashed or something like that, So it's like, it's not this kid's fault. He's just sort of following.
A product of it.
He's a product of this environment that's been corrupted by Pablo. So glad to see him not pull the trigger here.
The kids made it in this episode. I'm so glad.
Thank God something like that happened. So let's talk about Diane Iturbi. So she's like, so she's former President Iturbi, is daughter.
Yes.
A little bit of a rival to Valeria Velez.
A little bit.
Yeah. I thought Valeria was like, maybe, I speculated, maybe she's working both sides. Maybe she's just taking notes on Pablo or something like that. But it seemed like she was like, this chick's in my way when she's talking to Pablo there. Basically, after Gustavo's like, we can kidnap these people of importance. Right. Valeria just kind of throw her right under the bus there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I was kind of surprised. What did you think about that? Did you expect her to be like that kind of catty?
Well, I mean, women, we can definitely be that catty. I just thought it was funny how, Pablo was kind of scolding her at the beginning of that, like, I don't need your side chick stuff in my ear, trying to get me all confused and your emotions.
In a different way.
I don't need exactly. I don't need your emotions in my ear right now.
Right.
And then she gets really emotional, and then he's like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. So. Yeah, it's a very weird relationship that they have. I mean, I could sense at the beginning when they had that exchange, that something possibly was going to go down with her, wanting something to happen with her.
They set it up.
They set it up that way. But yeah, I just think their relationship is really funny of how, like, you're clearly the side chick in this situation. Like, all you're here for is sex, but it's okay.
Does she think she's more?
I think she thinks she's more, and I think Pablo kind of knows she's more, but he just doesn't. He wants the line to stay. Yeah. The line, with the line.
I don't know. I don't know if for him she's more than just something to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe she is.
Well, I mean, she has influence, and she's able to, negotiate on his behalf in some instances. But yeah, as far as like emotionally and like, I'm never gonna admit that I'm with you or that anything's gone down type of way. Of course, he's not in it for that. But yeah, I did think it was interesting that he was still willing to kidnap, because I don't even know if she was on his radar. Diana was on Pablo's radar as far as somebody to kidnap.
Yeah, well,
until she mentioned it.
So Valerie's basically playing because, one, I think her feelings were kind of hurt.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, I'm not that important, and basically like, oh, but I have something you want. So she plays right into that, and he's like, yeah, it's a pretty good idea.
Why not?
Yeah, Gustavo was mentioning something about that. Let's go get her. So all of her crew has just gotten down there right in the street. Yeah. I thought for a minute there he was killing the kids of prominence or whatever, and then it's like, oh no, he's kidnapping them because they're worth. Steve is like, they're worth more alive.
Exactly.
And you can use them as to position Gaviria into negotiating with you. That's this whole episode is about getting that negotiation piece. Gaviria not wanting to negotiate. So now that they have the former president's daughter, they have probably the best piece to get them to move.
The best leverage.
Yeah, the best leverage on this. She's in there with a gorilla, the guy that
like these names.
Pretty good character name. He was
I just want Pablo to just pick me out like a drug guy. Just such a street name, because they're just Blackbeard, Poison, Gorilla.
Right. Nobody.
These are great.
Sure Shot.
Sure Shot. These are wonderful.
And Gustavo's the only one who gets his actual
He gets like
name.
a regular one.
Yeah. But, so she's in there. She's kind of wondering what they want.
Yeah.
They they force her into that situation there where she's like, look, you can negotiate. He's going to work with you. And then I can't remember if it was Gaviria or his right hand man. Was it
I want to say Eduardo, but I'm not sure if that's right. Help us out, YouTube.
Yeah, help us out. I think it's Eduardo, but saying like this is basically just a gimmick. They're just making it look like they're going to negotiate, but of course they're not. I just thought, man, like she's stuck there in that spot. Are they gonna kill her? I don't know. It's kind of.
It's tricky. I mean, obviously they're worth more alive than they are dead. And if they kill, I mean, he's dived so deep now. I mean, killing them would just only add insult to injury. So I think that he needs them alive. But it's interesting because these were all people who I'm sure, had worked for the Colombian government or in some aspect were a part of the Colombian or connected in some way. So they kind of know negotiating with terrorists is a no-no.
Yeah,
so I thought it was
in
interesting.
general, you can't do it, especially where these guys go about it. You basically give them power.
And I understand their parents. These are their kids. These are their family members. They want them back. But it's just they went straight there, like negotiate, So it was interesting that they were kind of putting that pressure on Gaviria to do it.
Right.
I didn't really know how to handle that and how to deal with it.
Former President Iturbi is like, oh man, you guys got to do a deal. Let's just make it happen. But it's like you're making a deal with the devil. Like, how much control do you want to give him? You can't do that.
Yeah.
So at the very least, like we said, it looks like they're going to make it look like they're negotiating with them to keep better tabs on them.
Right.
But let's predict about there's that music. Whether she lives or dies.
There's a lot of predictions that I have for this. Why don't you start? So I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, let's see. Would she live or die? I think if she dies, the Colombian government, I think that they would pull off the gloves completely. Yeah. They already kind of are with Carrillo and all that sort of stuff, but I think that would be the furthest you could push them. I'm going to say that they're not really going to negotiate with him because what sort of thing are they going to get? Yeah. Out of him. Also, like, what would that represent for their country? Like, I don't think that would be inspiring at all from your political campaign there, Gaviria. Yeah, when Pablo there talking about his like castle that he's gonna build.
Which I thought that was so interesting. I don't know if they're going to go for it because he ideally wants to build a jail, which he'll say.
Yeah. Well, he's like, oh, it's a castle, you know, like obviously he sees himself as a king, not a big surprise there.
Well, no, I mean, he literally wants to build a jail, which he'll negotiate and say, you can put me in this jail, but it'll be his castle.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, so... Well, that's one of my predictions is I don't know if they're going to go for that because that was the whole reason why they wanted to do extradition was because they knew that putting them in jail in Colombia wasn't going to really do anything. They'd still have a lot of power. So we'll see how that plays out.
Interesting.
I wonder, I don't want them to yield to the negotiations. I kind of feel like Diana is smart though, and she's been playing.
Yeah, I hope so.
She's been pulling some strings within there, especially with Gorilla. So I'm kind of hoping that she will come up with some master plan to sort of help get all the hostages out. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. That would be great.
It'd be great if that could happen, and then somehow the DEA or the CIA could meet in the middle. But overall, I think that definitely the whole Ochoa sisters and Gustavo's thing is going to blow up in the face.
Yeah. Can't wait to see that happen.
Wait to see that.
I like Pacho. I want to see that storyline move further.
Absolutely.
By the way, those guys are like super homophobic.
Amongst other things. I'm like, how many times are you going to use this word?
They've like increased that like almost per episode, but I guess that makes sense for the time. But it's just kind of interesting.
Got a lot of issues going on in this show.
Yeah, but I would think that like also if they do kill Diana, then that really paints Valeria in like the worst light. I don't think that they could let that happen, but who knows?
Yeah, I feel like she will live, or if she dies, it'll have to be in some valiant way where she was, saving
right,
people or
something like that. But I agree. Like it seems like she's kind of working Gorilla there.
Yeah,
maybe she's gonna save them.
Hopefully. But she got him to let one go, so she's very smart.
Yeah, I think Sure Shot's gonna die.
You too. He's out of here.
Yeah, I mean he's asking the wrong questions to the wrong guy. I don't see him living through that situation. That's about it. I think that's all.
I see the baby going to the DEA for sure. And
Steve carries the baby in with his wife. It seems like they're gonna maybe keep the baby. That'd be cool. Nice little
interracial
moment
Colombian gringos
moment
family.
Of like, hey, let's save this baby.
Happy we got 'em.
Yeah,
good times.
Good times.
Shout out to Good Time Show.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go. So Ashley Chatman, can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Ashley_Chatman. Thanks for watching, guys, and keep sending us great reviews on iTunes and YouTube.
Yes, thank you so much. You can follow me on Twitter at Isaac Johnson, Instagram, the Isaac Johnson. I have like 3 followers until I'm 1,000. Come on, people, do it. Let's make it happen. That would make me the same person as I am today. It doesn't actually matter.
Maybe numbers. We'll see Dave next week, or he's in Homeland Security.
I think we'll see, right? Baron of Hell got him under wraps. Tune in next week to see if we see Dave on the show. Thanks so much, folks, for watching, and we'll see you next week.
See you later.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.